For Chifley.
Speaker, well, if a country could open up nearly 500,000 new jobs through one sector alone, you would think that you would seize that opportunity and try and generate that job growth. And if that sector could contribute 4% of GDP, over $100 billion, and that is up from 0.4% of what it's doing right now, you would think you'd support it, especially in a climate where the jobs and the income being generated by one sector, in particular mining, is disappearing or shrinking before our eyes, and there's an urgency of, well, how do we actually generate new jobs and re-gear the economy to make sure that for the next generation of Australians coming through that they will have jobs. And yet we do not have any sense of a national mission about how to re-gear the economy and prepare it for those jobs that are around the corner. And you would think that we would accept that. You would think that we would prepare for it. But we don't see that at all. The number and the type of jobs diminishing, and to answer the parliamentary secretary who said we don't know the shape of those jobs in the future, we actually do. The sector that is thinking about this is desperate to see government think about it, and they released a report last week or last month. Startup Oz, who are made up of entrepreneurs who are focused in this space, are saying that they are frustrated by a government that is not listening to them and not responding. And they have all the jobs there. They can see what's needed to create those jobs, but importantly get people ready for those jobs. And there are people that are ready to back that up. For example, when I visited Melbourne last week and I saw a group that's been around since 2010, Sanoa Health, that is creating scores of jobs there in Melbourne to be able to work out how to tap into the amazing amount of information that exists in the healthcare space and be able to tailor it for individuals. And they are doing it right now. And they've got people, for example, like John Stewart, who turned his back on a lucrative career in investment banking and has said he will prepare to put his own money into this enterprise and do it right now. And when you go and see the jobs that are being created, you realise the truism that exists in this sector. That is that for every one job that is created in the tech sector, 5 more created elsewhere. That, for example, in the US, where the tech sector is able to have a jobs multiplier, phenomenal jobs multiplier, 25 times more jobs created in the tech sector than any other. So what is being done to actually support that? And you'd have to focus on what you can do to boost talent, what you can do to boost capital. This budget did nothing in that regard. It took Bill Shorten to actually come up and say, well, if we've got these skill shortages, what will we do to invest in it? What will be done to support it? So what we want to do is invest in STEM skills, to be able to work out in young people, and this is where the coding element is important, and what had been referred to by the Shadow Minister, but in particular the opposition leader, to get young people thinking early about what they can do by introducing coding in schools. And what did the coalition do? They got it out of the national curriculum. They talk about the importance through their communication minister of coding, but their education minister stops those skills being generated. We talk about opening up new avenues for capital. We were the ones who put forward a $500 million fund to be able to co-invest and support the capital needs of startups in this country. Nothing like that from those opposite. Nothing like that from those opposite. Opening up new avenues for capital through crowdfunding, yet sat on an independent report that gives a roadmap to be able to provide crowdsourced equity funding. There's nothing there. And we have a combination. We have a combination, for example, of 20,000 Australians working right now in Silicon Valley, and they're there because there's not enough opportunity here. There's not enough capital that's being circulated here, and these are the things that we do need to focus on to be able to build the skills and the jobs of the future. And for those opposite who think it might be too hard, remember this. It's worth bearing in mind this. Silicon Alley, New York, Silicon Alley has, for the first time in 2015, edged out California in the total number of startup funding applications that have been generated. They are doing better in New York now than in Silicon Valley. And why? Because the state of New York and the city of New York has actually focused on this area. They have decided that where manufacturing is changing there and not generating jobs, similar to the type of challenges we have, they have backed it up and they have seen companies grow and they've seen economic activity flourish. It can be done if you're committed to do it. And the issue is this government prepared and committed to support the future jobs of the next generation of Australians? The answer is no.
Order. Call the honourable member for Macquarie.
Thank you.